Today on The Daily Charge, inside the box is a Pixel 4, nothing less and nothing more. Nest Mini and Pixel Buds galore, but was made by Google a bit of a bore?
Welcome to The Daily Charge. It's Tuesday, October 15th. I'm Roger Chang. With me are Molly Price and Lynn Law, and we're here to talk about all things Google. We're going to be talking specifically about the Google Pixel 4 as well as the Google Nest Mini. But let's talk about the Pixel 4 first. That's the headline, obviously. It's the new smartphone. It's got a second lens, a telephoto lens, finally. Lynn, tell us what else is new about this thing?
Yeah, so Google released its Pixel 4 and 4 XL flagship phones, and there's two big things. One is the camera, and the second one is the radar motion sensing thing that's backed by Soli technology. And what's really cool about it is that now the phone has Face ID. Well, Google's
their
answer
version
to Apple's Face ID. And so it's secure. They claim it's secure enough that you can pay and authorize for digital payments, which is kind of a big deal because before, when we use Face to unlock on Android phones, it was usually just to unlock your phone. But this one, that they want you to, use Android Pay with it. And there's also touchless gesture controls, which we don't really know how much we'll use it in real life. We've seen it in other phones, like the LG G8 Thin Q, and I think a long time ago, like in 2013, the Galaxy S4 had like some version of it, like air gestures.
I think there was air gestures. There was eye tracking. I think for that one. Yeah,
and we didn't back then. We were kind of saying that this was a little gimmicky. Maybe this one will be different, depending on the execution and how fast it is. Apparently, you could like wave your hand above the screen to skip songs and pause music and silence your alarms. And so I'll be reviewing it, and I'll look forward to using it or not using these features.
Well, I remember the G8 had that, and the actual gesture controls there were pretty terrible and awkward. Like, it took me a long time to figure it out. Scott Stein, of course, being like a magician and part-time, like was able to figure it out immediately. But I was like, nah.
He's like, is this your phone?
Yeah, exactly. Did you have a chance to try it out at all in the demo room? Or?
I had a little bit to like, you have to be like really kind of conscious of it. It's like with the LG G8, I remember it sounded really good, but then when you're doing it, you're like, I will never be caught dead doing this just to turn
like
off.
A volume knob.
It was like a little like jogger. It was like a volume kind of thing.
And it wasn't natural.
Yeah.
It didn't feel, it felt weird.
Yeah. This one I had to say it was a little bit more, but it's still like you kind of have to.
Got it. And going back to this thing helps power the face unlock. So like, how does it work? Like, how does the radar play into making the face unlock a little bit faster?
Well, it's like it's the front-facing camera. It works with that, with radar and infrared. And Google is saying how both technologies is super low battery power, it's low battery, accurate, and fast. And basically, it's just using your face and then the your motion capture to identify you and see.
And they claim it's supposed to be the fastest facial recognition system.
Right.
Faster than Face ID, although we haven't put that to the test yet.
We haven't done it side by side yet. Right. I have it on my iPhone 10, but it's older, and we haven't used it with the iPhone 11. If you want to see.
Right.
But I don't know how we could like time that.
If
it's like I
mean, I'm sure we'll figure something out. And going back to the camera, which is obviously the marquee thing, they had Annie Leibovitz on to talk about, which I guess was okay. I don't know. It's always weird whenever they bring on a celebrity to talk about the product because I don't know how much value you actually get into that. But talk about the camera, like having a second lens. What does that add to the Pixel experience?
So it was funny because the Pixel 3, we praised it because it was doing all these things that it was doing with just one lens at that time when everyone was having 2 or 3 lenses. This one, it has 2 lenses this time. It's still fewer than what the some Galaxy phones have. And like that. So it's 2. The second one is a telephoto lens. And they're saying, Google said, it helps them. They decided on the telephoto lens because it was more important to zoom than it was to have an ultra wide lens.
Right.
And they're using it to improve portrait mode, for one thing. So it's supposed to be smoother. The fallout's supposed to look more natural. They said they improved like hair and fur, which is really hard to do. And we've seen that in past Pixel 3s where it's like kind of patchy. And you could also take portrait mode from a farther distance. And the bokeh effect, they said, was like more natural, I think. And the other ones besides that is HDR plus. You could see it, the effect in real life, in real time.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, instead of post, which is really interesting because sometimes I don't really like how HDR. Sometimes it's like overly processed and stuff. To see how it looks in real life and that you could adjust the highlights and the shadows, that was really interesting because I had a chance to do it during the demos.
Yep.
And it's fun to kind of play with like the tone mapping and
Before you
exposure.
actually even take the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, look, the camera's always been the strong suit for the Pixels, so look forward to hearing more about this stuff from you. All right, so next up is the Google Nest Mini, which replaces the donut-shaped Google Home Mini. Molly, you've got one here.
I do. Still donut shaped.
Still donut-shaped.
Yeah.
Pretty much it's the same thing. They just rebranded it with Nest, right?
It's a little bit different on the inside. On the outside, it looks almost identical.
Okay.
So this is the blue. This is sky. This is the new blue color. You can kind of see that there. Ooh, ah. The top fabric is different. It's now made with 100% recycled plastic, which is nice and eco-friendly. Everything port-wise is the same. You still have mute and power and no audio jack of any sort. Sorry.
Actually, I do appreciate that there's a wall mount.
There is
at
a
the
wall
back.
mount. That's the
kinda
other
nice.
thing that's new about this one. There's a wall mount. So if you wanted to, put your home mini, your Nest Mini, vertically on the wall somewhere, you can do that now. On the inside, they added a microphone, so it should listen better. And they improved the speaker, too. So you should get, they say twice the bass.
Right.
We will see. We haven't tested that. We will be reviewing this very soon, and we'll check that out. So...
And yeah, the competition's kind of heating up, right? Amazon just had its event, revealed the Echo Dot as well as the Dot with the digital clock.
Yes, so we have the Dot with clock now, which is interesting. And it's funny to me that the Nest Mini is something that you could mount on your wall like a clock, but yet it has no clock, especially now that the Echo Dot has one. So it's sort of an interesting
I guess you could
choice.
mount like a whole bunch of these things, like a surround
and
sound system.
Actually, in the demo room, they did have they were trying to show all the colors, but they had like 4 in a row. So you could mount it. Of course, you're still going to have that power cord running down your wall.
Well, you could run the power cord behind the wall.
That's a whole lot of work for a Nest Mini,
Isn't
it?
It is totally too much work.
So we'll see. They improved it. They added microphones. They added a different speaker. There's a gesture control, kind of. If you hover your hand over it, you'll get 2 little LEDs on either side that will show you where to tap for volume. So that's cool because I have a home mini, an old one at my house, and it's always really hard for me to where do I touch to do anything. So having those 2 LEDs that will sort of guide you tap here is maybe better.
Right, and look, at this point, folks have Google Home Minis or Google Nest Minis. They've got Echo Dots. Do you think this changes? Either of these products kind of change the equation for folks?
It's interesting because the Echo Dot with clock is now $10. It's $10 more than the regular Echo Dot.
$60, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's interesting whether or not people will pay $10 more just to have a clock on something.
Right.
Maybe people will. I don't think it's game changing. I'm not sure that the Nest Mini is going to be game changing. I think it's probably an improvement on their first version, but nothing here that's super revolutionary.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'd also be remiss if we didn't talk about the biggest surprise from the event, the Google Pixel Buds 2. They're smaller and sleeker than Apple's AirPods, which they're obviously targeting. But other than that, we don't have that many more details beyond that $179 price tag. They're coming out in the spring, but did you have any impressions from those things?
The way they looked.
The little circle thing in your ear.
Yeah. I feel like it looks better than the AirPod.
With the Q-tip look.
They're kind of big. I know the Pixel Buds were.
Were you able to try them on at the event, or?
I didn't.
I didn't get a chance.
And I have tiny, I have the worst ears for headphones. So those little bud things, they never stay in my ear. So I'm skeptical on the small, strange ear front. Yeah. Not sure they're for me.
Right, there's a little hook thing to it. Yeah.
There's a hook thing to it, so maybe that would help. But I do like that they're pretty inconspicuous.
Any thoughts, Lynn?
I'm just curious about how quick. I know that they improved Google Assistant, so I want to see just how fast and how smooth that execution will be with the Pixel Buds and with the phone. Because I know live translation.
Yep.
Isn't. I want to see how seamless it can actually be with it, in your ear and using Google Assistant.
Right,
and wireless.
I think as far as I know, it's 5 hours of standby time, or it works for 5 hours continuous time. 24 hours if you use the wireless charging case. All right, as always, we're going to pivot over to Q&A because we all know you have a lot on your collective minds. We'll try to keep this to Google's topics today, but if anything else pops up, that's fair game too. Sound off now in the chat or tweet at us whenever a thought pops into your heads. BBG, what's going on with the questions?
First, I just want to say thanks everybody for being patient with us to get the disclaimers out of the way. Well, it's been a very long day, and we're late. I was dying last week, so we didn't have a show. So just all together, thanks everybody for sticking with us. We're back in full swing. Also, Lynn, could you move a little closer to Molly? You keep progressively leaning further and further out of frame.
I smell. I've been in Google all day. I'm sweating.
There we go.
There, okay.
All right.
So yeah,
See, it look like you like each other.
Yeah, got to at least pretend for the sake of TV.
After this, I'll meet you in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Might be the most threatening thing that's ever been said to me at this company. Okay, so the keynote convinced our friend Michael Brown. He's switching from the iPhone XS to the Pixel 4. Just sticking with the black one, though.
Wow.
Ryan Williams says, why are there no headphones included if you're paying so much? I also think the gesture control is such a gimmick, but the motion sense is real. I think he's got some good points there. There were a lot of really high troughs and high peaks and low troughs at today's event. I would agree with him there. I also want to agree with Molly about the Pixel Buds. That was easily my favorite takeaway, just being, the sound guy. They remind me a lot of my Bose Sound Sports, but clearly more flush. What do you guys think about Ryan's comments, though? Is the value there? I mean, it is significantly less than an iPhone.
Well, that's the thing. It's not. We were just talking about this before the show. At $800 starting price, it's actually $100 more expensive than the iPhone 11. Now, Google would argue most likely that this is more comparable to the iPhone 11 Pro, since all the features on the lower end Pixel 4 are also on the higher end one. It's just a bigger phone. But what do you think in terms of value, Lynn? Like, how do they stack up?
Yeah, it's just really interesting because once you start incorporating storage, both the iPhone and the Pixel 4 don't have expandable storage, and Google really pushes its camera and video and how well the Pixel 4 does both. And so if you're taking all these amazing shots, you'd want to have the storage to save them locally. Google can argue that you're using Google Photos, but I don't really like to save things on the cloud. So the fact that it starts at $800 at 64 gigs and then $900 at 128 gigs, and then that's it. At least the iPhone, they have 256 and 512 gig options. At $900, 128 gig, that compared to the iPhone 11, that's only at 128 gig is $750.
Yep. Yeah.
So once you start incorporating storage, it gets kind of the value to gig ratio starts getting a little tricky.
Right, and then there is the fact that there are no headphones,
and that's
no
really
adapter.
Really surprising because last year they had it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know why.
They didn't mention it on stage. It just sort of like people figured it out.
Why would they? And by the way, we don't give you it. Please clap.
That's very similar to Samsung not mentioning they took out the headphone jack. Like, it's one of those. It's kind of a big deal, though. It's like, I feel like it's one of those things that you do want to kind of warn people about ahead. Otherwise, people find out like they found out this time, and it just sort of like popped up without.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna write about it.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
It's like, all right.
And people have to factor that into their purchase. Like,
absolutely.
People have budgets, and everyone is not going to buy a $2,000 Galaxy Fold.
Right.
So people that are looking for a more affordable phone are going to have to think about, well, what else am I going to have to buy to go with this? So, because you're going to want a case, you're going to want headphones, you're going to want wireless charging pad, maybe, if it doesn't come with that. So there's tons of stuff that you have to factor in that's not just the cost of the phone.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's like phone insurance, Apple Care or whatever, and then it's like the money that you save that you were going to spend to like get headphones, you now have to use for storage or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, this is true.
So yeah, it's not quite as the no-brainer in terms of, like, it used to be like the Pixel. I mean, Google phones used to be all about sort of more affordable, and so it's at least when it was a Nexus phone. But
I miss those Nexus days.
I miss the Nexus days too.
Do you think we'll get a 4A?
Most likely, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's just like it's really weird because it's like, here's this really great phone, and if you want it to be affordable, wait till next year.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So just make it affordable now.
The radical
agree.
concept, right? Some more highlights. Practicality of silencing alarms and phone calls as you go to grab the phone. That was kind of a nice little extra perk. Michael Brown also goes on. How natural is the facial unlocking feature? Did any of you guys get to try that out?
Unfortunately, I couldn't.
Yeah, not yet. It's kind of hard in the demo area, I imagine, to like set up your face in the
Yeah.
account. So, but we'll be doing more testing, and we'll definitely keep you updated on that.
clearly we're going to have a full review coming soon, but yeah, our exposure is kind of limited on the day of.
I do want to do a speed test where we time out like exactly to the millisecond, like how fast this is relative to Face ID.
Right.
I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Next comment and or question coming in from YouTube. The features I do like, but I think waving your hand for the next song is kind of pointless. Okay, we got to talk a little bit more about motion controls, I think. They're not new. They keep tweaking them, quote unquote, perfecting them, but does anyone actually give a crap?
No?
That's your answer
No.
right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have that much context around like the previous instances beyond LG, which came out earlier this year, and like I don't think anyone ever used. I don't think anyone bought the phone to begin with, so it's kind of tough to see. But have there been other instances before that of like the use of gesture controls or?
I'm trying to think. I mean, the Galaxy S4 had like the air motion
Right,
thing.
but was that using your hand or was it just eye? I guess
like
it was
eye
hand.
track- Yeah, it was like some kind of sliding.
Okay. Which also like disappeared super quickly because,
Yeah.
like you said, it's very gimmicky.
Sometimes though, that's like the immediate effect of the immediate application of the technology, but you just don't know what the company will do in the long run with this kind of
Right.
facial scanning. It's all the long con, you know. So we don't know. The immediate application may be this kind of fun gimmicky thing, but maybe in a year, the Pixel 5 or 6, they're using the same technology to do something else. I don't know what it will be.
I know a few people that have the Pixel and really like the Pixel stand that comes with it. So maybe if you have your Pixel like stood up on Pixel stand, like on your desk or on your nightstand or whatever, or on your dresser across your bedroom or something, maybe gesture control then is easier.
Actually, yeah, the one application that I can sort of see is like if I had it on a stand, if I was washing the dishes and like I didn't want to touch. Yeah, I hate the song. I really hate the song.
Yeah.
Like then I could just sort of wave
And
at
you're
it.
flinging soap water across the
That was
kitchen.
actually I think that was the mind. I think LG kind of touted that as like the main applications. Like if your hands are dirty or like or soapy and you don't want to touch the phone, it's hands free. Which I get. It's a pretty limited application though.
Yeah, I think Lynn's right though. It's something that they're going to build upon in the future. We're probably just seeing the very beginning of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got some time for just a few more questions from our loyal, loving audience. At this point, can we just say that the Apple Home is a very niche product and a failure to avenge... a failure to the average consumer. I thought he said a failure to avenge
avenge the
consumerism.
Is he?
That might be my new best
I
quote
think
on
he's-
Are we
this
talking
stupid
about
show.
HomePod now?
Yeah, I think he's referring to the HomePod.
Yeah. So with the home market, like the smart home market, with the new Mini or I can't keep track of this. It's Nest now, right? It's not
Nest
Home.
Yeah.
Mini. Although the box does say Google Nest Mini, and that is an acceptable answer.
Google Nest Mini.
Google Nest Mini or Nest Mini.
All right.
But not
are
Google
both
Mini
approved. Not Google
or
Home Mini or
Nest
no
Google.
Home,
Right.
no Hub, no
Nest Google. That sounds like Nest
no
Quick.
Nest Google.
Mini Google.
All right. So what is the stack up right now between the HomePod, Nest Home, prior Google Home, Amazon Echo? Where are we all standing on this as our personal takeaway?
In terms of what we use, or
Yeah. What are you using?
Oh.
I personally, I don't have a lot of smart speakers in my home. I will say that. Take that for what you will. I do have Nest products in my home. I do like the Home Mini. HomePod. We don't have a mini version of HomePod, right?
Yeah.
Either you're buying the giant expensive HomePod,
Yeah.
or you're completely out of that space.
Which is why I think that hasn't done really well, and Apple doesn't talk about
And
it.
they don't.
at all.
And they don't really seem to care.
Yeah.
They're fine with that. So you've got the Echo Dot, you've got the Nest Mini, and they're both now in beyond their first generation, and the Echo Dot for sure has improved, has better sound, and now you can pay $10 and get a clock. So I don't know. I think it depends on what platform you really want. You've got a lot of options now that there are multiple generations of these small, affordable, $50 is
Yeah.
not bad. Smart speakers.
Realistically, they're not even $50, right? Like come
Right, 'cause
Black
they're always on
Friday,
sale.
they like go down to $30.
Which is like just a month away. So I mean,
Yeah.
wait a month and you can get it for probably less than that.
Lynn, do you have any in your house? Home?
I had an Echo Dot, and then it kept lighting up and beeping, and it got me really paranoid, so I unplugged it, and then now that's it.
That's it. That was
I
the
didn't even
smart
put it away. I
speakers.
just like unplugged it, and now it just sits there because it kept like it would bloop, and then I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting actually, because I will add that the touch controls on the new Nest Mini, you can tap on the top to pause and play music. And back when they first released that with the first generation Home Mini, there were like some phantom touch issues where it would sense that someone was touching it and they weren't, and those recordings were being sent to Google, so everybody freaked out. There was a huge freak out. So we're back to that now with the second generation. Hopefully they have fixed those issues and there aren't any phantom touch problems with this. But yeah, sometimes it lights up and you're like,
Why?
why?
Yeah.
What did I say?
Well, I have Echo. I have a couple of Echo Dots in my home. We use it mostly just for weather updates, sound machine, that sort of thing. But
Timers.
Yeah.
timers, yes, we're big on timers. I have a kid.
Family loves
No,
timers.
no, that's how I keep my kid from like watching iPad all
Like,
day.
oh, it's bedtime timer.
It's
went
five.
off.
There's a
Yeah.
5-minute timer here, so haven't really done the Google Home or I guess Google Nest Mini thing, but that's the thing. Like I think when you're locked into one, you're not
Totally,
really that willing to try the other.
You sort of have to pick sides.
Yep.
That's what it feels like.
Brian, what else we got?
We got a couple more. CNET Daily Charge should. Oh no, sorry, wrong comment. Do we know? Well, give me a break here. There's a lot to read. Got a
I
lot
really
going
want to
on.
know what
I
that
don't know what
comment
they were gonna
was.
say.
Do we know what's coming in the box with the Pixel 4 XL? Yes. And we're going to have an unboxing video coming up right after this show concludes over on the original, primary CNET channel.
Is it
By the
continue
way,
here?
no, not. We don't have the exclusive, but we have the exclusive. I don't know how to really kind of put the semantics here. After the keynote, did Google mention how much RCS now that the Pixel is at all U.S. carriers?
Oh, rich communication services. That's the rich text messaging. Probably not. I mean, they made
I
a
don't
big deal
remember.
about it at Google I/O, not this year, but I believe last year is like the future of messaging. But since then, I feel like they haven't talked about it at all.
No, I didn't hear about it.
And it really was they were kind of jumping on like a carrier-driven initiative to make text messaging more smart, like iMessage. But I haven't heard anything about that recently. So sorry.
It'll happen. And the last one to close out on the Nest Mini. In regards, I think they said you could call a specific one from your phone. Is that feature coming to the current Mini lineup?
I don't know. We will look into that. I know they did talk about kind of using it as an intercom, calling it from your phone, broadcasting, all that sort of stuff. You can definitely do that. You can broadcast on the old Home Mini. Calling from your phone, I'm not sure. I mean, it may be an update. It may be something that they add in a software update to the old one, but
So is the idea like you can call one like specifically
like
in the
you're on
kitchen?
your way home and you could call the kitchen and be like, on my way home. And you can do you can send broadcast messages, but they were talking
That's actually
about
pretty useful.
from your phone. That
Yeah.
could be cool. I don't know on that one. We'll get back to you.
Okay.
Good enough. Hey, just wanted to say thanks again, everybody, for being patient and letting me screw up and sticking around with us late in the day. I'm glad we did this, though. It's really great to have Molly and Lynn on the show, finally. Well,
Yeah.
Lynn, you've been on a minute ago, but it's been a while. I think we were still called the 359 at that point, right?
Was I ever on
Were you
that?
on the
I can't
audio
remember.
podcast? It might have been just the audio podcast.
Maybe it was the audio
In like
one.
the prior incarnation of this.
But I always want to be
three
back.
iterations of this show ago. But yes, you two are always welcome. Thank you very
you.
much.
It's a shame that we only really get to spend time with these cohorts when, absolute chaos and bedlam is
Yes.
dropping
Yeah,
in town
when chaos
during one of
descends
these
on New
big
York.
keynotes.
It's the only time we can justify sending them over.
Yeah, it's
Unfortunately.
true. But yeah, thanks again. Take care, everybody. We'll be back at our normal scheduled time tomorrow morning. And Roger, go ahead and take us home.
Sure, I would, but there's nothing on the teleprompter again.
No, that's not true.
All right. Well, look. Anyways, thank you again for joining us and bearing with us with all the crazy technical hurdles. If you want, you please hit the bell, all that other crap that you do on YouTube. Thank you very much for bearing with us, and we'll be back with our normal time, normal show tomorrow at 11 a.m. With different hosts. We'll be talking about Google some more. So thank you again, and thanks for joining us. This is Molly Price, Lynn Law, I'm Roger Chang. Thank you.
Bye.